What is up, junior high students? My name is Eric, and this is a big day. For a bunch of you, you have finally made it. Your elementary school days are behind you, and you have now arrived at the promised land of junior high. Welcome. For the rest of you, you are now top dogs, the 8th graders, the biggest, oldest, wisest people in the whole room. Well, except for your coaches, I guess. But now you get to spend the next year reigning supreme over the entire junior high landscape. Congratulations. Now, I actually really clearly remember my first ever experience with junior high at church. Now, I had grown up in the church for as long as I can remember, but to be honest, I tried to avoid going as often as possible. I cannot tell you how many Sunday mornings I faked sick trying to get out of going to kids' church. I know that makes me sound like an awful person, but let me explain. I had no problem with Jesus or any of that. I just didn't enjoy the experience at church. I was kind of a shy kid, which I realize might be kind of hard to believe, and so I felt like I had no friends when I got there. And this was also in the era of church where most of kids' church was sweet little old ladies using these ancient things called flannel graphs where they took cardboard cutouts of Jesus and Moses and baby sheep, and they moved them around on this little board thing while they told a Bible story and pinched your cheeks. It was not a good time. But by the time I hit 7th grade, my mom decided that she was done with the whole skipping church thing. She told me, in no uncertain terms, that unless I was dead, I would be at church every week. So sure enough, the first night of junior high, she rolled up to the church in her very fancy blue 1987 Volvo station wagon, pushed me out of the car, and drove away. I walked into this giant room I had never been in before, and it was packed wall to wall with students. There was loud music playing. I didn't know where to go or what to do or who to talk to. I didn't have the courage to just walk up to a stranger and strike up a conversation, so I just tried to find a dark corner of the room where I could hide and just wait for me to die. Fortunately, by the grace of God, one of the student pastors, a guy named Brian, saw me standing in the corner looking sad and pitiful and pathetic, probably a lot like one of those dogs you see on the commercial where they're like in the kennel in slow motion and there's sad piano music going. I looked just like that, and he walked up and struck up a conversation with me. He then took me over and introduced me to a few more guys who were just starting 7th grade as well, and then he decided to hang out with us for the whole night. Now that night, we were actually leaving the church campus to go to an ice rink and play broom ball. I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of playing this game, and it wouldn't surprise me if they've outlawed it by now because it's extremely dangerous. But basically, it works sort of like ice hockey, only you play in your shoes instead of skates, and you chase around a ball instead of a puck, and you use these weird little rubber mallet things instead of a hockey stick, or even a broom really, so now that I think of it, it's probably the worst named game in history. But as you can imagine, a bunch of people running around on ice chasing a ball ends up looking a lot like this. Yeah, I seriously bruised my butt that night. But if nothing else, by the end of that night, I felt like I at least had a few friends at church. I mean, we weren't besties or anything. We weren't going to be staying up late talking on the phone or braiding each other's hair. But I knew that next week when my mom drove me up to church and pushed me out of the car against my will, I would at least have a few guys I could walk up to, sit with, and just not feel so awkward and alone. Now, maybe some of you have felt that way before. Honestly, some of you probably feel that way right now. And I want you to know that that's totally okay. In fact, it's pretty normal. But one thing I want you to hear, no matter how comfortable or uncomfortable you are sitting in this room right now, being here matters. A lot. This is not just some place to come and hang out and play some games and eat some food. We are on a mission here to reach every student in this valley for Jesus. And you have a crucial role to play in that. This is not just some place to go when you feel like it or when your parents make you come. This is a movement that you desperately need to be a part of. God has you here for a reason. He wants to do something amazing in your lives over the course of your junior high career. God wants to use you to make a difference in the lives of the people all around you. in your families, in your neighborhoods, and especially in your schools. God wants to use you to make a difference in the world. In fact, we have a term we use around here all the time to describe this kind of person. So let me break it down for you tonight. Christ-centered difference maker. You're going to hear that over and over again, so let's define it a bit. Christ-centered means that you love and follow Jesus. That everything important in your life, your school and your friends and your family, your sports, your hobbies, everything centers on Jesus. That Jesus is the center, the most important thing in your life. And difference makers, well, that means that everywhere you find CCV students, you should find a place that is better because difference makers have been there. As you love and serve people the way Jesus would if he were walking around today, you make an impact in the lives of the people around you. You make a difference. Students, we are calling you to be Christ-centered difference makers. That may mean that when a new student shows up on your campus and is kind of hanging off to the side because he's not sure where he fits in, you're the one who stands up and walks over and invites him to come hang out with you and your buddies so he has a place to belong. That may mean that you start treating your parents and your siblings differently. That as you love and serve them the way Jesus would, you actually change the tone of your entire household from one of fighting and arguing all the time to one of love and service. And it definitely means that you take every chance you get to invite someone to come to church with you so that they can have the chance to get to know Jesus and have their lives changed as well. Now, I want to make sure you get plenty of time today with your coaches and in your groups, so let me leave you with this one challenge. Commit to being here as regularly as you can, because God will use this place to absolutely change your life. Wherever you currently stand with Jesus, whether you've been following him for years and you're ready to go, or maybe you're just checking this out for the first time and you have a ton of questions. Wherever you are with Jesus, however comfortable or uncomfortable you are sitting in the room right now, commit to being here and letting God do something amazing in your life over the next few years. You see, this is not just some place that you show up and we put on a show for you to sit and watch. Far from it. This is your church. We all have a part in this place. This is your home. So let's make it amazing. You may have walked in here today and felt exactly like I did all those years ago on broomball night. But that night was a pivotal moment in my life. And I don't believe I would be where I am today if it weren't for that night and the work God did in my life through that student ministry over the following years. Junior hires can have a huge impact in the world around them. You can be the Christ-centered difference makers that change absolutely everything for somebody else. And we realize that this 2-year period of your lives called junior high can be a little bit weird sometimes, and a lot of times a bit awkward. In fact, we're gonna have your student pastors come back up and share one of their most awkward junior high memories because we've all been there. We totally get it. But we are calling you to be Christ-centered difference makers, to engage when you're here and to change the world around you when you're out there. So let's step up, let's take the challenge, and let's be the difference makers God is calling us to be.